In this decibels activity, land the plane. Your job is to make sure that when you line up your airplane, you do it in a way at which when you hit submit, it goes through the runway perfectly down the middle. So this one, you kind of estimating because there's not a grid there. So estimating is kind of tricky. So if we were given a grid, it makes it a little bit easier to do. So this says lines can help us be more precise. So in order to land this plane, they're asking you to follow the equation y equals 15 minus x. Now, going back and seeing how this is related to the slope intercept form is always written in the form y equals m, which is how the line moves at your slope, multiplied by each value of x in an ordered pair, plus b, which is where it begins on the y-axis. This is your y-intercept. Now, they wrote it to where the plane number 15 is in the front, and that's okay. It doesn't matter if they put the MX part first or they put the B part first. But I know in this case, if they give me a plain constant number of 15, that's the way um, that I should start with the setting of the airplane. If they're putting negative x, I don't have a number in front of the x, but I do see an x. So that's what I always think of. If I see an x, I have one x. So this is my movement. Now, if I want to make it look like a rise over run situation, then negative 1 is the same thing as negative 1 over 1, which means you're going down 1, and a positive 1 for the run means you're going to the right one. So, one thing they're asking me to do is to take this airplane and put it where it should begin. So, at this point, I know I need to be started at 15, and the plane is going to fly in a downward motion, which is why I need a negative slope here. So, if you have to fly your plane up, you need to make sure you have a positive slope. So if I hit submit, I know I landed the plane correctly because of the green lights. It didn't crash. So when you move on to the next one, you're looking at how do you make this go perfectly down the middle of the runway. So your hint is try to see if you can find the rise and run of the middle of this runway to get the movement. Then estimate about where you think the airplane needs to begin. So it's kind of trial and error about what you would do because you can kind of tell if I change this to be a negative 1, it's going to make this line have a y-intercept of a negative 1. If I put plus 3, it's going to make this line have a y-intercept of positive 3. So the B always is where your plane begins. The number in front of the X is how it moves. So right now they've got a movement of positive 2. That means it's going up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. But I might need something sometime to be a fraction. So maybe I need it to be 2 over 3. So that means the airplane would rise 2 and run 3, rise 2, run 3. Sometimes I might need the slope to go in a downward. So if I put a negative, then that would mean it's going down 2 and over 3. So put fractions for the slope if you need it. And this sign depends on whether the airplane's got to fly up or fly down. And the plane constant at the end is where the line begins. So take your time doing this. It may take you a few minutes to figure out the answers, but this is good practice to see changing one piece on the equation. What effect does it have on the line that's being drawn?